Wonderful. So thank you very much, Anna, for joining me here. We are going to, like I said, live stream. So some lucky people will get the opportunity to watch us live, and at the same time, we're gonna have this recording available for later. So that's fantastic. I'm just confirming here on LinkedIn and Facebook to make sure that we're going live. So just give me a few seconds, please. Okay, looks like we're live now. Excellent. So let's just get started. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited tonight to be joined by Anna Stowe, who is going to share a little bit of her knowledge and experience with us. This is very, very exciting. Anna, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Very excited to be here with you, and very much looking forward to what you're going to share tonight. I think it's going to be very valuable for a lot of the folks here. And I think it would be great if we start by maybe having you introduce yourself.
Sure. I am Anna Stowe. I am the owner of Great Design for You here, based out of beautiful Lake Norman, North Carolina, right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. I
Wow.
specialize in taking the stress out of making a beautiful interior space, whether that's your home or your commercial space.
Wow, I love that. I've seen many studies that confirm just what an impact it can have, right? To relate or interact in different environments. So that's pretty awesome. Does that, I'm curious, does that relate to, I mean, does the fact that you started this business relate to your degree as well as kind of like what you're going to share tonight, or?
Absolutely. I think that anyone that's going to um, go into someone's home or their space as an expert in a specific field should have the education or the experience to back that up. Um, my journey started a few years ago, and I always think when you're going to go to school, when you're getting ready to get out of high school, or you're getting ready to start a second degree, or you're thinking about what type of career path you want to have. Think about what your goals are. What's going to make you happy? Don't necessarily go into it with, I want something that's going to make me a ton of money, because you'll be chasing that forever. Go into something, whatever it may be, with passion. And that may be going to school for a 4 year degree, like I did, or it could be going to a really good trade school. But definitely go to school, find a place to get your education that's going to align with your goals. So, for me, in my personal experience, I always had a passion for design, architecture, and so I knew that I wanted to go to school for something in that
Right.
field. And so I went to school. I acquired a bachelor's of science in interior design, and I worked for a few people through the years, and I eventually set up my degree. Gave me the opportunities to set up my business, and I've used every bit of my education.
That's awesome. I mean, particularly in a world where there is a lot of popular opinion about certain topics, such as education, right? A lot of people tend to watch a video online and then make up their minds about something, or even read a quote that somebody said once, right? And then just take that for granted and just, yeah, make it their own truth. So, how would you how would you say that your education impacted your business?
Well, I I took it seriously. Uh, Probably not as much as I should have, looking back, because I was a kid at the time. And so when you're young and you're getting um, right out of high school and you're going to
Right.
college, it's hard to really think about what you want to be doing for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
It really is.
I mean, and that's really tough. So you have to really step back and say, where am I? What can I do now that's going to help me in the future, no matter what? And so it may be getting a business degree, getting something that you can go in a lot of different directions. The only regret that I have about my education is that I did not get a business minor. I think that would have
Mm,
been amazing because I've had to take a ton of additional classes
right.
afterwards to learn the business aspect. But I've definitely used everything. I've kept a lot of my old journals and a lot of my old school books for many years to use as a reference. And I continue to educate myself through the last few years. I'm not going to tell you exactly how many, but the last few years. And I stepped into every job as a continuous education.
Right.
So I've had quite a few jobs over the years. And because I'm in the interior design business, I wanted to learn a lot about
Mm,
different aspects of my chosen field. So I have the education. I definitely know I'm going to use it. I'm going to go into something in the interior design field because, well, I have a very expensive education and I
hmm.
definitely don't want to be living, on my mom and dad's extra guest room. So, and they don't want me there. They want that to be a guest room and not my room.
Right.
And so I moved out. I acquired some jobs over the years, and I always was very mindful of what job that was and what it was going to do to help me in whatever the, I guess, the path that the universe had in store for me. And I was always kind of destined, I guess, to own my own business because I went into every job, even though I was not the business owner, with a business owner's mindset.
Mm,
How would I handle this job if I were the owner? It wasn't
mm,
all about me. It was about what decision can I make
right.
that I would make if I were if my name was on the roof of this building. And so, with that type of mindset and with the education and all that extra knowledge, I felt very confident when it came time for me to feel like, okay, this is my time. And just a little side note, my time when I first started my business was 2008. So
Okay.
if you can survive, if you can actually build a interior design business in the middle of the housing crisis,
I
that's
know.
pretty
That's
good.
crazy. That's
So
crazy.
yeah,
And it's been over 10 years now.
it has been, and I've gone through another crazy year that we've all gone through, and I'm still surviving and thriving. So this is good.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Those are the type of businesses that we need, right? Like those are the type of businesses that we need to start crafting, really. And so I see a lot of people say something like, "Oh, a degree is worthless nowadays," right? So, and especially for, I mean, sometimes in for business, for starting a venture. What is your take on that? What would you say to those folks?
I don't think it's useless. Okay, so I can only relate everything back to the industry that I'm in. And so yes, there are a lot of people out there that are either first career or second or third career that are in interior design, and they because they love it, it's romanticized on television and everybody wants to be a part of it, but it's a lot more difficult in this field and in every field to own a business. So you have to be committed, and you can't just kind of say, this is my side hustle, and feel like you're going to succeed in that business. You have to throw your heart and soul into it. You have to really set yourself up good goals. Education is definitely key. Like I said before, you need to know everything you can know about the field that you're selling to someone. So if you're in finance and you just kind of woke up and said, I can balance my own checkbook, I think I'm pretty good at this,
That
then
doesn't
you really
happen.
don't have the credentials. And that,
Exactly.
that would scare me if I were
Exactly.
hiring you. So the same thing with everything. If you have the education in that field, that doesn't necessarily, and this is something that I'll kind of go back and forth on, that doesn't necessarily mean education in the sense of a 4 year
Right.
degree. It could be that you want to be a plumber and you wanted to set up your own plumbing, and you went to trade school and learned a trade, and then you worked for a couple of companies, became an
Exactly.
apprentice, and then went back maybe at night and got some business courses, and then decided to open your plumbing because you were very good at that particular skill, but you need to
Absolutely.
have a little extra education.
And I think, yeah, and I think that that's what really makes a difference. You can really tell when a technician, or somebody with just the technical background goes off and tries to start a business, and you go and see those businesses and there's a mess in there, right? Because they don't have the yeah, the business knowledge, the HR, accounting. There's so much more that involves that goes in there, right? And same happens if you look at it the other way around. Say you have a business degree and you want to start a plumbing business. I think it helps to know the trade too. What do you think?
Absolutely, yes. I've known very successful business people that have decided that I think I might open up whatever trade it is because there's a lack of people out there. Good example, painting companies. There are people that they're very smart and they're great at business, but yet they go into a position that they're not 100% fluent in, and they you have to hire good people obviously,
Of
but you
course.
kind of have to know a little bit about that company also.
Exactly.
You have to know about the skill.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point that I was referring to. I mean, if you want to start a software company, I mean, it wouldn't hurt for you to know a little bit of code, right? Particularly to earn the respect of your team, right? Of your technical team, and like those who are down there doing the actual work. And same goes for every other type of, you know, business or industry. It can help you a lot. And of course, that doesn't mean you have to know everything, right? Or you have to go into a degree for each area, but to at least know the basics or just have the foundations can make
Absolutely.
a huge difference. Also,
Oh
when you're
yeah,
running
there's
when you're
tons
running
of
the
people.
business.
Yeah, there are tons of people on my back behind me, in the background, that people will never see that I need.
Of course.
I'm terrible at like accounting and all of that. I know enough to be able to check behind and make
Hmm.
sure that I don't have someone ripping my business off. You have to know enough about that. But I have someone that takes care of those issues and all of that in the background for me. So it's definitely good to have a great team. But taking everything that you've learned in college, in trade school, in your education, and applying that to a business is very helpful.
How would you say it? How would you say that it started for you? Yeah, what was the process like of starting your own business?
Okay, so I'll tell you two. I'll tell you the first time, And then I'll tell you the second time when it actually stuck.
Wow,
so
that's a bonus.
so the first time I was like a lot of people. I had worked for a company. I had a couple of good clients. At least I thought, I had a couple of good clients, and they're spending a lot of money with me. And I think I can do this. And why am I giving this company all the big bucks? And here I am. First off, I had no responsibilities. I didn't think about that. I could check in, check out, and that was perfectly fine. If everything fell apart, it was okay for me because it wasn't my skin on the line. Okay, so I decided I've got clients. I'm good at what I do. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go out on my own.
Woohoo!
Okay, no marketing budget, no nothing. Oh, just a few good, decent clients. Looking back, they were great people, decent clients. Yeah, that didn't work very well. Probably within about, I don't know, 2 months, I was like, what am I going to do? So I decided to go back and get the first job I could get as quickly as I could get because
Hmm,
I need to have income.
of
Rent
course.
was due. So I went back to waiting tables. And then I found another job in the field. And I quit that job. It didn't last long. But I had to go back to work for a company. And I did that. And when I decided, very, I put a lot of heart and soul into it. And I really made some good decisions. I decided that I needed to open and go out on my own, partly because the company that I was working for was getting ready to downsize, and I was part of that layoff.
Hmm.
So there was that, and I knew enough at that point to know how to set myself up for success. So I ended up hiring a business coach several years later, and they did a lot of extra educating me on some of the parts that I didn't realize I needed it. So, and then, things have evolved. And I know a lot now in my few years that I've been doing this that I didn't know that first few weeks. But
What would be some of those things?
Well, keeping a positive mindset, you have to let the little things go. You have to know what you excel in and what you don't. It's okay to have people helping you. I know a lot of people in my industry, when you say, "Oh, I need some help," you automatically think that you need an assistant. Like I don't necessarily. I need a design assistant. I need to have a bookkeeper. I need to have someone to do the social media stuff. I need those people for me so I can be, have the time and so I can concentrate on those things that I excel in.
Exactly. There's a really great book on entrepreneurship, which I will share later and in the show notes as well. But yeah, basically, it gives us the idea of working on the business, right? Rather than in the business. So, looking at the structure, looking at the processes that need to be taken care of, I think that's, and of course, caring for your people, right? Like watching your team. That's critical.
Absolutely. I think that anyone that is in a position that they feel like they may want to start their own business at whatever time, I would definitely suggest not just jumping into it because if you jump into it, you don't have anything set up, you're pretty much destined to fail. And that's not to be negative, that's to be more realistic. So,
Of course.
but I always think that everyone that wants to can. Absolutely. I am the type person I will never tell anybody they can't do it, but I will definitely say line yourself up with people just like where you want to be. So if you want to be a business owner, like in the interior design business. Find someone and be friends with them. Become friends with them. If they have a position open, maybe work for them for a while.
Yeah,
Learn everything that you can about that industry. And while you're working a job, work it, give it 100%. Act like you're the business owner yourself, and make the best decisions you can for that business, because you want people to do that for your business in the future.
I love that mindset. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only that, but it gives you, I mean, if you're planning on starting a business, it gives you the ability to look at it as if it were you already, right? As if you had that opportunity to actually start it and analyze things, learn from it. I think it makes a lot of sense.
And learn
Now,
the good, bad, and ugly of it too, because there's a lot of ugly that you might not
exactly.
know at the
And
beginning.
you were sharing about this time, where you had a few clients and you started the business, but then it failed and you went back to getting a job. So, of course, if it is possible, I mean, if it allows, could you maybe share some of the lessons or maybe what went wrong there that people should maybe watch out for and not do,
Sure.
try to avoid?
Well, I wasn't prepared. So
Okay.
that's the biggest thing. You and I didn't know all of. I just knew the glamorous part of it. I knew for, like I said, for interior design, I knew drawing. I knew how the rendering went. I knew how to pick out a fabric. I could, um, you know, go into someone's kitchen and help them lay out the cabinets. I had that. That part, I was gold.
Mm,
But like I said before, I did not have marketing set up. I didn't have a marketing budget. I did not have, I didn't think about insurance. I didn't
mm,
think about
super
liability.
important.
I
Yeah.
mean, tons of things that you absolutely have to have. So if you're in that, in that early thinking through it, it does not hurt one bit for you to go out and price out an insurance policy and find out what type of limits you need for your business. Find out how much it would cost for all of your overhead. Eh, do you need office space? Okay, if so, how much is that going to be? If your industry requires you to have office outside of your home, call a couple of realtors, check out a couple things. Actually, go out and look at a few places. I'm not saying to waste someone else's time or to be, not be mindful of someone else's time or their resources, but you can definitely go out and make a couple of phone calls, or go pull a flyer off of a for sale sign. Sometimes they'll have the flyers out there, or the for rent signs. You can definitely do a little research in your area
Even
and get all
online.
of those things laid out. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And okay, so I mean, preparation is really something that made a difference there, right? And at some point, I think there is also the opposite side where a lot of people think they have to have absolutely everything 100% ready and have all the all the knowledge and all the connections and all the budget and this and that, like it has to be perfect. So that's the opposite of the syndrome, right? Where people think they need to have absolutely everything. What's your take on that?
You're never going to have everything ready. So at some point, you're going to have to just say, okay. And there are tons of things that I'm still learning. If you ever
Yeah.
have learned everything, you're probably at the end of your journey. Whether or not that means death, or whether or not that means retirement or whatever, you're
Or
at the
failure.
end. Yeah. You're not gonna learn everything. You're going to always constantly be evolving. So I graduated from High Point University back in 2021. And so it's been a while now. And when I graduated, they're learning different things in school from then to the time now.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I could have stayed in school for the last 20 years
Right.
and I probably still wouldn't know what I would want to know in another 20 years because it's always evolving. So
Exactly.
you cannot learn everything. But
And
what I'm saying is just try to have your at least most of your
hmm
ducks in a row.
yeah, the minimum, right? At least a certain
Be
part. And
prepared.
yeah, and here comes a piece of knowledge, I guess I took from Richard Branson at some point, where he shares something really amazing, and I think it makes a lot of sense, which is there is a big difference between taking risk without, like you said, without preparation, or like being really stupid and just taking any risk that comes your way, and taking calculated risks, right? Which is a huge difference. Like, it's not the same to take a risk on something that where you have zero chances or haven't even researched about it, versus taking a risk where you already know the field a little bit, maybe you did your homework, right? You have some preparation. It really does make a difference.
I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't take risk. I take risk on pretty much everything I do. Like I'm the type, if you tell me if I have an idea, if I already have a little bit of background, if I already kind of feel like I know a little bit about it, the wheels have already been turning a little bit, and then that opportunity presents itself to me, I'm going to strike, and I'm going to strike fast and hard. So, and if I didn't, I mean, I wouldn't be where I am now.
So what's the story after you came back at it and, launched the business for the second? How did
Well,
it restart?
yeah, okay, so like I said, it was um 2008, and so I had to do something. I mean, I lost my job. I still had a few clients that were very loyal that were calling me. So I was like, okay, well, I've got that. So now I'm going to take this little bit of time because I got a small, crazy little small severance package when I got laid off. So I took that, and instead of going out and saying
Nice.
woo or
Yeah.
whatever, I went and got a business license, and
Very smart.
I set up a website. It was not the best website. It was a do it yourself. Here's $100 a year website. I'm very proud that I have a nice website now. I have someone that helps me to set it up, but I got there. I really
Right.
didn't have a lot of good pictures anyway because half my portfolio was lost when I lost that
Mm,
job. They cleaned out my desk and I couldn't take anything with me. So my
right.
portfolio was there on their desktop, which was a bad idea also to keep all of my personal stuff on their desktop. So I wouldn't recommend that. um, but yeah, I mean, I really just mindfully went in and started to set some things up, and then the more I got business and the more things that I did, I I mean, I just kind of put back a little bit. I invested back into the business, and I did that for many years. I almost feel like for the first couple of years I was just spinning. I was
Mm,
that little hamster on a wheel, just going and really not making a lot of progress, or at least I didn't think I was, but I was. But I just stuck with it. I knew I was good at what I did. I had to stay in that mindset. I'm good. I'm gifted. I know what I'm doing. But the business, I just that part I was learning as I went, and I did get a little part-time job during that time. It fell into my lap. I had a friend of mine that worked somewhere, and she said, "We need somebody. Can you come and help us?" And I went there part-time, and I did that for about a year. And oh my goodness, I got busy while I was because I was busy. So that's a good thing too. Keep yourself busy, keep yourself
mhm.
active. Don't crawl into a hole. You can't find business when you're in a hole.
Yeah, you need to
And
go out and
yes,
do stuff.
yeah. And then, of course, the marketing came in place, and the assistants came in place, and a little more marketing and bigger projects. And it just kind of evolved, which was really nice. And it's still evolving.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, right? It will never
Absolutely.
be finished. Like there's always something new to implement, new stuff, new practices to follow. So, when did you realize? I think this is very important for a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners out there. When did you realize that it was time to bring someone, right? Maybe we can leave the accountant on the side because we know that's necessary right from day one. Actually, everything's necessary from day one. But when was the point where you said, okay, now I really need help with this?
Well, okay, so I knew where I wanted to be, and I could not get there without an assistant. I could not get there without a few things in place. And some of those, I mean, it's scary to say, hey, I'm getting ready to invest X amount a
Yeah,
month, not knowing if you
it's a
have
commitment.
that coming in, but that's not going to come in if you don't have that going out. So it's a
Exactly.
circle, and it's just kind of like there's a circle. There's a circle, and you just jump into the circle somewhere, and you're like, okay, now I'm in the circle, the vortex. So you just kind of have to just, okay, boom, I'm in there.
And keep the pace.
Just, yeah, just get in there and keep going at it.
I mean, it something very similar happened to me when I was running the business. Some of the first days, I was like, I know, and I mean, and today I know that it makes such a huge difference to start a business alone versus to start it with someone or even just hiring some help. Right? Today, I'm super grateful that some people have chosen to work with with us at TechBoo, and they do an amazing job. And yeah, like you said, it would never be what it is today without those people. And really, they are they're smarter than me, on their each of them in their own specific field. And I think that's what makes a business great, and just what makes a business strong, and powerful, and keeps it going. um Now, I think a lot of people may be wondering as well, how do you know who to hire? Because I'm sure you have probably, after hiring, you've probably had to fire people, right? Or stop working with a company or a supplier. So, how do you know who's the right one?
Okay, so I have mission statements, and I have, uh, you know, ethics, and I have conduct that's important to me. And it does not mean that everybody in your business has to have the exact same thought pattern, but you have to be aligned in a certain way. So if I've had to, these are contractors, so I have a lot of contractors that work with me, and they're not my employees, but they are definitely crucial to my business. And that's where I've probably had to let go of or terminate working with them. I'm not terminating their employment. They're free to work wherever they want to. Just I can't have them going into my clients' homes. And that usually comes from not holding themselves to the same standard that I hold myself to, because I'm going to hold myself to a certain standard, and I want everybody around me to be at that same standard.
Of course.
And where I mean by that is I really truly do care about my clients. It's they're I always say that they become like family or like really good friends. Even though they're not that good of friends, we're not necessarily going to call each other at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night. We're still, I have that respect for them. And so if I were to have a contractor that goes into their home 2 hours late, or they go in and they're not talking to them nicely. Everybody has a bad day, and I always, tell my clients, if you don't like something, if maybe you feel like they splashed paint on something, or if you don't feel like something is straight enough or whatever, step back, call me if I'm not already there. A lot of times I'm already there, or I'm gonna be there on the job shortly after. But if I'm not, let me know about it, or say, can we talk about this? Don't scream at them. Don't scream obscenities. Don't treat them the way that you would not want to be treated yourself. And that goes both ways. So I have had to fire a client before, also for the same exact reasons. I would rather not take somebody's business versus taking business from someone that's going to talk to one of my contractors or one of my employees in a bad way. So, that's basically what I've had to kind of let people go, because they were great, everything was wonderful, and all of a sudden they stopped coming in when they were supposed to. They yeah, there were problems, and
Mm-hmm.
I always try to talk to them, find out what the problem is, because everybody has stuff going on. And if we can't come to a resolution, then we have to smile and part ways.
Exactly. And you mentioned something which is really key, and it's that part about firing clients, which I think is hard. For
Yes.
a lot of people, it will be very hard, right? Especially when you're just starting out and you don't really have the budget, or you can take that, yeah, take that moment to just really say, hey, you know what? I don't want to work with you anymore, because that client is probably bringing, just the bare minimum you need to really pay your bills.
Yeah.
So, but still, those clients that you don't want to work with can a lot of times be more expensive than you may think, right? So,
I've had clients that you would think that somebody's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you would not want that contract. And I'm like, it sounds good on paper. But if you go into a first meeting or a second meeting, or you get halfway in the project and all of a sudden, I mean, like, you start having red flags, and it ends up working on you. It does things to you. It not only takes 2 or 3 times as long, it puts some trash in your head and plugs that up, and you don't need that. And your other clients don't deserve that. So
exactly.
you need to be very mindful of everybody that's around you. And I have this funny little dorky saying I always, and I'm a little bit of a dork. So I have this funny little dorky saying I always tell my clients, almost constantly, especially when I first meet them. I'm like, okay, so I work with the most amazing clients ever. I am so glad to work with you. And I remind them that they're amazing, and that I only work with amazing, great, positive people.
And they have to stay that way.
And yeah, I mean, I'm always reminding them. And then when they do become a little, because I mean, sometimes people get a little stressed. And I always say we take the stress out of creating beautiful interiors. But every once in a while, you'll have someone that gets stressed, and there's nothing that has happened to necessarily cause it. Um, except for maybe something in their personal life. I have a wonderful client we just went through a renovation with, and she did get a little stressed, and she had a lot going on. There were some, without getting into too many details, there were quite a few personal things going on. So every once in a while, I just had to say, come here, come here, sit down,
It's
let's
okay.
talk. Let's talk. you know, this is going to be okay. It's going to be beautiful. and usually just, talking and stuff, and talking in a softer voice can calm things down. So, and they were great. And I knew they were wonderful clients. They just had a little extra stress. However, if you are starting to get a bunch of red flags, and then you have some outbursts, and then you have a few more outbursts, and there's nothing, yeah, I don't, that doesn't happen to me very often anymore. Probably
Right.
the first couple of years I had a lot of that. But when I remind them all the time that they're great, they usually are.
And I think that comes down to also having certain standards, right? And knowing what are your limits and what you can do and what you cannot do. Because like you said, it does not only cost you, but it also costs like incurs some cost to your team members, to your um, everyone really, like everyone involved in your team and your operations, all the stakeholders are going to suffer some way by you not making the right decisions when it comes to clients, really when it comes to everything, right? But especially clients. And that does really make a difference. And a lot of times, going with the wrong client can give you a bad reputation, can give you like someone who will not pay the bill, you know, a lot of
Yeah.
risks. I think there are a
Oh,
lot of
absolutely.
risks involved. Now,
Yeah, I
as
mean, you're
we
going to have risk. It's part of business.
it's part of life, exactly. We just got to be prepared for that. Now, as we slightly transition to the end of today's episode, which makes me really sad, I think people are loving this. But as we transition and get there, I think people would love to know, how did the story excuse me, how did the story continue after you came back into business and you started hiring people and building what you have today? What made the difference after having everything set and kind of really start growing? What made a difference there?
Well, boundaries is one of the biggest things. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but
Mm-hmm.
setting nice, good boundaries, time blocking my day is set. I know what time I'm
Beginning
going to
to
start
end.
in the morning, what time I'm turning the phone off in the afternoon. I have a separate phone for business and a separate phone for
Hmm.
personal.
Hmm.
So no matter how small your business is, there are ways to do it, even if it means going and getting the cheapest cell phone plan you can and having just a little cell phone, just whatever. So you can take your nice phone that has all of your business stuff on it and leave it in the office or put it in a
Right.
drawer if you don't have an office and lock that drawer and say, it's five
Don't
o'clock.
touch it.
I'm not doing this. And setting up systems. I have lots of systems, and those are
Hmm.
all things that have helped me to set boundaries, which has
Right.
set me up for like my personal time is my personal time, my business time. I'm 100% business during those hours. I'm not, taking a nap during the day or, you know,
Hmm.
or if I am, it's because I'm sick or
Right.
and I'm probably going to have to call out of work, but it's not just because, well, I don't have anything to do for this hour. So I think I'm going to take a nap. No, I'm going to
Oh
find
no,
something to do.
there's
I'm
always
going to do
something to
something.
do. Always.
Absolutely. The day is too short.
Yeah. And now, Anna, as we approach the end of today's episode, thank you very much, by the way, for being here. And
Thank you.
we will get to the how can people learn more about you and your business in a second. But before that, is there anything else that you think I should have asked you, or that you would like to share with the audience? With people listening, anything you would like to say on that side?
Well, probably just stay positive. Shoot for the moon, shoot for the stars. If you want to start your own business, I would definitely encourage you, do a little research on it, find out as much as you can about it, and start setting yourself up. Set some goals. I would like to have these three things accomplished, knowing that I'm going to set my business up at this time, and then start
Right.
working towards those goals.
And setting a deadline for those.
Absolutely. But when you do decide to go into business, go in. Do not try to set up, I think I'm going to set this up and I'm going to dabble in it a little bit while I have my safety net. There is no safety net. Just do it. Like I said, just jump into that circle.
Have to go all in. Exactly. Awesome. Thank you, Anna, so much. Now, for people who are wondering, how they can get in touch with you, maybe how they can connect with your business, learn more about what you do, what what would be the best way to get a hold of you, or maybe learn more about your business?
Well, the best way is, remember that old nasty website that I used to have? Well, I have a nicer one now. So just go there, www.greatdesign, the number four, the letter U.com, and you can find out everything there. You can go to our
Awesome.
contact page. You can set up a free 100% no obligation 30-minute inspiration call with us.
Wow. Love it.
You can do all kinds of stuff. You got my phone number, my email, everything's there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So that's great design, the number four, and the letter U. Greatdesignforyou.com. That's where you can find Anna Stowe and just her business, just learn a little bit more about that. And also, I mean, the link to that website will be in the show notes, as well as her social media if you want to connect there. So awesome. Well, Anna, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you here. And I really do look forward to our next conversation, maybe 1, 5, 10 years from now, where you tell us a little bit more about all your new successes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
It
you.
was fun.